Alright, so as you can see, I got the hatch reinstalled on the Civic. The hatch doesn't line up properly on the driver's side. It's actually raised up quite a bit in comparison to the passenger side. So I've been spending a bit of time trying to get it readjusted. So I'll show you where I'm at right now. So I haven't got the latch put on yet, so that's going to make a little bit of a difference. But when I put the hatch down, so as you can see, it's nice and tight on this side. When you come onto the driver's side, there's still quite a gap here. So it is better than it was before, but even if you look at the hinges up here, you can see if you're looking on it head on, this hinge is exposed, and here you can't see it at all. So I think the hatch itself is bent somehow, so there's just no real way to adjust it properly without, I guess I could drill some holes or something in the hinge and maybe do some adjusting that way, but I don't think it's worth it at this point to go through all that work just to get it to line up. I have to keep reminding myself this is a race car, it's not a show car, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to leave this gap as it is now. I'm okay with it, I think. The next thing I have to move on to is the wiring. So if you remember last time, I kind of went through the harness and I eliminated all the wires that I didn't need, and then I found out that the previous owner did some of his own wiring as well, and there were some wires that were going to different colors, and it didn't really look that good. But when I removed the wires I didn't need, this is basically all that's left from what he did. So I do actually have red going to red, green to green, and black to black, and everything seems to be working the way it should. The connections don't look too bad, like they are insulated and everything, so it doesn't look like anything is going to be shorting on anything. So I think I'm just going to leave it as is. It's not super pretty, but I will be covering it up. I'm going to make sure that everything's taped up and put in a loom properly so that it's really nice and cleaned up. So that's going to stay the same. The only real thing that I'm going to have to change is this wire for the third brake light. So it's basically just going to have to be lengthened, and then rather than coming through this hole up here, it's going to be ran across here, so probably underneath this trim piece, and then I may just have to cut a small hole in the trim piece for the wire to run through, and then it'll go to the third brake light that I'm going to stick up there. So not a whole lot that I have to do for wiring, luckily. Just mainly cleaning it up is the biggest thing. I'm just going to quickly bang it out. It's not going to be super interesting, so I'll probably just time lapse it. Then we got a bunch of other stuff we got to get onto, so let's get on with the wiring first, and then we'll get into the rest of it and hopefully get this back end finished today. Alright, so I got all the wiring done on the hatch now, and everything's working like it should, so that's good. I started the process of putting everything back together, so I got the latch put back on the hatch. It does close, but when I pull on the lever inside the car, it doesn't activate the hatch anymore, so it's not opening. So I'll show you what's going on here, and then I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to fix this. So when I need to pop the hatch open, there's the lever inside the car, which then activates this right here. So this is working properly, nothing's changed on this, it's all working fine. And what it does is when the hatch is closed, it is supposed to press against this when you pull up on the lever, and then that releases the latch. When I'm pulling up on the lever inside the car, it's not pushing this far enough, which isn't popping the hatch the way it should, so I have to crawl inside the car and activate this manually. So I don't know, I've tried adjusting everything as much as I can, and it's still not ending up in the right spot to where it's going to work properly. So I don't know why it's not closing properly now. I feel like it's exactly where it was before I started the whole thing. The only thing that I've changed is the weather stripping along here, because mine, there's the old one there, it was covered in white paint from when the car was painted white, and it was all torn up too. So I got a new weather strip, so that's the only thing that's changed on it, and it's not lining up. So my idea, if I was just to weld a small piece of metal on here just so that it sticks out a little bit further, I think that would be enough that when I pull up on the handle, that this would activate it. So I might try doing something like that, and we'll see if it works. All right, so I did a bit more thinking and adjusting before I started welding on my latch there, and I actually got it working. So I'll show you what I did to fix it. So I ended up adjusting this a bit more because I didn't like the way the hatch itself was sitting anymore with it lifted up so high. So I pushed it back down as far as it would go. And when I did that and I closed the hatch, it lined up a bit better than it did. Still not great, but it was better. And then when I pulled the lever inside the car, it was almost enough to lift up the hatch. It was actually contacting this part properly, and it was almost enough to release it, but not quite. So what I ended up doing, rather than welding anything on here, is I just took some electrical tape. Yellow is the only color I have left, so I wrapped it around this I don't know how many times, and that gave it just enough extra length that it needed in order to contact this properly, and the hatch does release properly now. So that is good. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So now I can close it. And it actually doesn't close too hard. I lift up on my lever, and it pops the hatch. And that works exactly like it should now. So that saved me a lot of work. I didn't want to have to weld if I didn't have to, so that's good. And then the biggest thing that I got to work on next is welding a tab on this side so I can get my bumper mounted properly. So I guess I'm going to get started on that. Alright, so I'm about to get started welding a tab onto this side for the bumper. So I found this bracket just laying around, so I kind of cleaned it up. I think it'll work okay for this purpose anyway. Getting under here, I was able to find some bare metal, so up here is where the tab should be, and you can see where someone's drilled a hole here in hopes that they could attach the bumper, but it's sticking out way too far, so the bumper actually sticks out about I would say ½ inch or so farther than it should. So I ground this down to bare metal as much as I could, and then basically this bracket's just going to sit up here, and I'm going to kind of just weld it to whatever I can up there, and I think that'll do the trick. So I'm gonna get started on that, and hopefully this works. Alright, so I got the welding done. It looks absolutely terrible because there was nothing to weld to except rust. So I got it down to bare metal as best I could, but the welder just kept blowing holes in it. So I got some good tacks on it, so it is holding. It doesn't look very good. I'm not even going to show you guys, it's just embarrassing. But I got the garage door open now, just to air it out in here, and I just got confirmation that I got a package in the mail, so I'm going to head down to the post office while the garage airs out, and we'll see what we got.
You are going on a run.
Alright, so this looks to be my brake kit for the front of the car. The set that I got is a powerstop Street Warrior brake kit. So these, I believe, are a carbon fiber ceramic pad, yep. And these are the powerstop Street Warrior rotors. So these are for the front. I already have some decent rotors on the back, so I only ordered for the front. And that's all that I have in this shipment. So I'm still waiting on my second one to arrive. And that's gonna have the brake rebuild kits. I had a timing kit, and the rear brake pads are in that kit as well. So I'm still waiting on those, so I won't be able to finish that today. But I'm gonna get back to work on the car. So I've got the welds all cleaned up as best I could. And then where I set my car on fire because of the welding, I had to fix that a bit. So I've sanded it down, put a little bit of putty on there, and even did some putty under here just to clean it up a bit. So I'm waiting for that to set. Once that's nice and dry, then I can sand it smooth, put a quick coat of paint on there. And after that, it's really just a matter of putting the bumper on. I do need to put the wing back on as well. And when I was taking it off, I noticed that one of the studs inside was turning inside. So that's a repair that I'm gonna have to do yet. So I won't be able to install that right away. So maybe I'll do that in the meantime while I'm waiting for that to set. All right, so I got the wings set up here upside down. And as you can see, so if I get up close, you can see it. It's moving, and it shouldn't be. It should be nice and solid like this one here. You can see there's a bit of a gap in between there, so if I can stick something underneath it and get it pressed up against here again, and then maybe I'll just stick some epoxy in there or something and let it cure overnight, and that should be enough, I think. Alright guys, well, the back of the car is officially done. The only thing that I have left to do is replace the rear brake pads, which like I said before, I'm still waiting for them to come in the mail. They were on a separate shipment, but they'll be here really soon. Next time, hopefully the brake rebuild kits are here and all the rest of my parts, because I'd really like to rebuild the front calipers and get those installed next. I really want to get back to work on the front of the car. Spring is coming pretty fast. The first race of the season is going to be May the 3rd, I believe it is. So got to be ready for that. So I really got to get cracking on this. I really want to get my limited slip installed, as well as my lightweight flywheel and clutch. And then I also have the timing kit coming as well. So if I could get all that done before race season starts, that would be great. So yeah, that's everything to look forward to in the coming videos for Frankenstein. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any updates. Make sure you drop us a comment below, because we love to hear feedback from you guys. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.